Today's conversation is with none other than a very good friend of mine, Marjorie Sheba. She is a five-time author, and we were just chatting, but not kidding, before the show started, that it's five of many. So be on the lookout for Marjorie Sheba's next book. Today's conversation is anchored in her current, most, uh, latest book, number five, entitled Sometimes You Have to Close Your Eyes to See. Marjorie, what stuck with me as I read your work in this instance of it is that you're not trying to give us new answers. You're asking us to see what has been there all along. And so I'm not going to say that you're the owner of multiple businesses, that you're the author of several books, that you host events for women and for people in the world, and that you deeply committed to the Haitian community and serve it with all your heart. I'm just going to dive right in, right? So the theme of today is anchored in a phrase you submitted to us. The success you're rushing toward can only meet you when you pause. And in the book you wrote, I'm proud to have my own copy with a little note from you. And the little notes say, may this book accompany you in quiet moments to empower the wisdom you're already carrying. And now you mentioned pause, right? Why is it that we have
Yeah,
to pause to access something that is already within us?
absolutely, Sorel. Good morning to you and good morning to everyone who's watching, your staff, your co-host. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Great question, and I think you kind of hit it right on the head at the beginning when you said this is not new information. This is old wisdom that through time, unfortunately, we've kind of put to the side, put under the rug, and it has cost our society because now it's all about the rat race, right? Success is always embodied in who could get there faster, who can go through this information the fastest and prove themselves. But we've lost an ancient wisdom, which
Hmm.
is how to stop and not quit, not give up, not fall behind, but pause. And that's extremely important as we live in a world, as I said, that celebrates motion, hustle, speed, and output. We're praised for pushing through exhaustion, even, right? Women included, rewarded for ignoring our inner signals until that momentum is everything. But the truth, Sorel, is that what if the pause is actually not a problem? What if the pause actually resolves the problem and the issue, and it helps us gather ourselves, gather our thoughts, and go deeper into the issue to see more clearly? This is what I hope to share today.
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And standing on your shoulders, and what I'm hearing you say is that sometimes I would associate pausing with actually stopping. And so the pause you're speaking of is active. It's like, yeah, I'm not pausing as in I'm stopping. I'm pausing to let everything just be the way they are. And so in a way, I can't wait to hear what you say more about that. But one of the things that's really interesting to me, Marjorie, is that this book you wrote was inspired by something deeply personal to you. In the preface of the book, you
Absolutely.
describe your father's passing,
Right,
and
right.
uh,
Uh,
uh, and you described it as a moment that forced you to question life, love,
Absolutely.
and even God. So tell us, what did you question, and what did you begin to see in that space?
Absolutely. So I was working on this topic prior to his passing. And I can tell you, like many others experience, death has a way. Even if you felt you were prepared or you've come across it before, every experience is new every single time. And so, based on the relationship I had with him, I was very close with my dad. And for me, it was seeing his faith. seeing how loyal he was, to his faith and his God. And that question hit, what is really after this? And would it have been all for nothing for him? And then I look at the fact that life requires detachment every single time. Change is inevitable. Change is happening in our bodies every day. And we struggle, with changes that we can actually see, whether it's in our environment, our politics, etc. But life is absolutely about change. And I think that was the ultimate lesson I had to come to grip with, and that you have to just be able to remain open. Those who do the best in this life remain forever open. You can be sure about what you know, but you're always open to a different interpretation.
Yeah. And what have you been open to? Well, it's funny when you say to be open, you can't even fathom what you're open to. Like when you're open, things show up. And
You're
then
so
there's
right.
the opportunity to have the discernment to say, huh, I'm going to grab onto this and run with it. And
Mhm.
so in this context, right, most people listening to this aren't really accustomed to pausing, like you're talking about,
Mhm.
or being open in the way you're talking about. There's being open, but I'm open with an agenda, like I'm
Absolutely
open
right.
to X, Y, Z that I want for myself, as opposed to I'm open.
Yeah, or there's
So
already a precursor. Right.
yeah, yeah. So what does it actually look like in practical ways for business owners and people with families, people in relationship? What does it actually look like to pause
Absolutely.
in the middle of real responsibility? What does it look
Oh
like?
man, it's everything, Sorrel. It's what's helped me to being more open. And where you're being open, as you mentioned, you are not simply open to all. I think is this idea of the best thing you can do is the best thing you can do. And there's reassurance in that. And you can stay on
Yes.
that until the next best thing presents itself, right? And while you remain in alignment, and I talk about that a lot, pausing or praying or meditating or doing a mantra, having a couple of minutes in the day is absolutely necessary, because it's like the pause before the pivot. You can't always keep going in one direction. Some of these directions lead to a dead end. Some lead to a wall, right? Where you can literally hurt yourself or run into that. So it's the breath before the breakdown. If you're going to take a few minutes to just breathe at your seat, or go walking around the office during your break, the space where you realize that something needs to change. And I'm finally ready to hear what that is, to see what that is. And so
Yeah.
it's an absolute must for those of us in our corporate careers. It's a must for those who are mothers. It's a must for those of us in leadership positions to be able to take it all, because you're constantly, surmounted with ideas and information. You've got to be able to read between the lines and then esteem which is the best information, which is the second best. Because when people rely on you, they don't simply rely on your knowledge. You're not in that position simply because of all your PhDs, right? You're literally there because there's something extra. And in the entertainment business, we call it that it factor. There's got to be that intuition, right? That second nature that can say, this is going to be the way to go. And you're projecting 10, 20 years down the line, and others are not necessarily capable to do that. That's the strength. And that only comes when you're able to take yourself away from the situation for the time being, and be able to revisit. So, perfect circumstance, Sorrel. We all can relate, right, to going. Maybe we've had work activities, we've had appointments, and here we are finally in traffic and the car is breaking down, right? We can relate to the issue that here comes the light. Oh no, it's something about the motor. And now you're pulling over the road. Worst case scenario, your phone is dead. And you didn't even see that. You didn't even see, that situation. And so you can take that situation and sit on the side of the road for a moment, recalibrate, pause, breathe, and say, okay, what do I need to do now? Who's the first person I contact? Who do I delegate what to while I gather myself together? We can relate to the top, corporate COO or CEO who's getting a message from the headquarters saying there's going to be layoffs, there's going to be changes in the budget, right? And he decides, instead of freaking out, he goes for a walk for 10 minutes around, the office building. And in that moment, he's able to see what his next move needs to be. These are
mm,
pivotal moments that making the right decision often will rely not on what we know, but what we're being directed to.
mm, yeah. So I love the way you're connecting it to real life. And I want to go back to the book. You structured the book as a collection of sonnets, little poetry here, reflections there. And the book happens to be in two languages,
Sure.
English and French.
Mhm.
And it's adorned with the most phenomenal illustrations. So as I poured through the book, Marjorie, I wrote in the margins, I'm making little notes to myself. and 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 one of the things I wrote in response to what the book was pulling out of me is that there is inherent blindness in seeing with my eyes. So
Hmm.
you're pointing to that blindness and how you deal with it. So I'd love for you to give us something out of your life, your business, like the real deal that you've dealt with, kind of like a crucible moment, like when have you been deceived by your own eyes? And what
Hmm.
did that teach you about
Oh
truth?
my. I love how you phrase it. Inherent blindness with seeing in our own eyes. That's so powerful because that is what it is. We are limited. If I may, I'll say that, as creatures, we were created to be in constant communion with our Creator. I'll just put it that way. And we are going to be blinded. We're going to be limited. We can see ourselves and see our limitations in our strength, right? In our knowledge, in our mental capabilities. Of course, we're limited with our seeing. I've had very, 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 very bad lessons. Well, I won't call them bad, but lessons
Uh,
with very permanent consequences, right? With consequences that were that took a while to work around. But I think
yeah,
as parents, we're
Marjorie,
facing.
pause for a moment. I want the people listening to really get a piece of you because,
Okay.
there's the book, there's everything you've accomplished, and then there's you dealing with life as a real human being. So put us right in the middle of it. When did your eyes deceive
I'll
you?
put you right in the middle. Yes, it has deceived me. My own mind has deceived me as well. And that had to do with a business relationship, right? And we all get these opportunities all the time. We're called or a friend or someone in the community. And, unfortunately for me, I didn't do my homework well enough. And that should have included, meditating, right? It should have included connecting
Pausing,
with the
pausing.
creator.
Uh,
Yeah, that is that. There you go. You're telling me to pause, which is good because
uh,
that's the whole lesson. And
uh,
so, and I went in, and I'll tell you the signs will be there. They'll be subtle, but when you are blind, right? You may even have a person pulling you left or telling you, "Hey, you're blind and you're blind," and you might even be deaf, right? And
yeah,
so, and I went in, and I thank God still because there's always a silver lining, right? That it happened at the time that it did, that the
yeah,
losses were less than they would have been now. That lesson had to happen then for me to recalibrate and see and know what to look for in the next situation. And even as I go into the next situation, to have measures in place, right? To lower my risk and go inch by inch by inch, because relationships, whether it's business, whether it's personal, they are not given, right? They are
mm,
earned. Trust is earned, and it's earned in increments, right? And it's important. the Bible tells us trust no man, and we ourselves are human beings
Yeah.
that fail ourselves. If we can fail ourselves, we also fail others, right? So with that mentality, it doesn't suggest that this person could be evil. They need to be quote unquote enemy. No, people will neglect their own duties, and lack of discipline will cause them to fail,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
ideas will crumble, and empires will come down. And so you have to be wary of that. So that was a really hard
Yeah.
lesson, I can tell you.
Yeah. So, standing on that lesson and that blindness, I'd love for you to use two phrases, maybe a phrase to qualify the blindness and a phrase to say the lesson.
Mm, okay. I would say the qualification for seeing through the blindness, a phrase would be, where is this leading me?
And
Where
the
is this leading?
lesson.
And the lesson is, what does this mean to me? What do I
Yeah.
learn here? Mhm.
And what did you say you learned?
I learned that trust is very expensive, and
I
that
got that.
you pay for it with your blood, with your life, and that you have to give it in increments.
I totally get that. And this is the perfect timing, Marjorie, to bring on my trusted partner, my friend, and my brother, Giovanni Gonzalez. I know he's in the background, listening attentively, taking notes, and he has something to say right now. I just know it.
Oh,
Gio,
Giovanni.
would you come on, please?
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Great to see you, Marjorie. How great to
Likewise.
see you. I was excited that you were going to be here. I don't necessarily have something to say yet, Sorrel, so you guys can continue the conversation. But I guess I, one of the things that I guess I can say something, right? That I was being with as you guys were conversing was the what does it take? What does it take to practice stopping? It seems like it's an easy practice and quite counterintuitive to say that it's easy to stop. It's easy to it's easy to say that it's easy to stop so that we can calibrate, well, what is it that's going on? How is it that I feel? What is it that I am forcing? What outcome am I forcing here? Should I even force it? Should I not? And in all of these years, it's for me, and as I'm hearing you guys, it's been one of the most difficult practices to develop, which is to stop and trust that by stopping, there is an outcome that I'm seeking and that is seeking me.
Mm,
And
yes.
and that it's quite difficult to embrace, given that my mind, I think most people feel the way I do. My mind is programmed to hustle, to make it happen, to make one more call, to do more than somebody else. That there's that saying that I live by is I'm not the best, I'm not the charmiest, but you'll always find me working. And it has become my advantage.
Mm,
Yet what you're pointing to is, yeah, but you could be working really hard towards an abyss, and then you're going to be working really hard to get out of the abyss. Or you can pause and prevent the abyss. And I've had a number of abysses in my life. And so all of that is kind of showing up right now. So I don't really have a comment, I mean a question, but I just kind of wanted to share that, Sorrel.
love
Thank
that. I
you.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Gio, this kind of leads into an aspect of Marjorie's reflections in the book. Um, Marjorie, in the book you wrote, "In silence, your soul speaks." And
Mhm.
as Gio was speaking, and as I was reading the book, I'm thinking, wow, how do I distinguish between the voice of my soul or the soul and the constant noise in my head?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
I
so
love that.
when did you first recognize the difference for yourself?
Okay, I first recognized it when I started to practice being alone and being in silence. And it doesn't mean going up on a mountain or finding the next retreat. And I love what Gio has brought to surface. He talks about, how do we practice that? And that is the key word, especially in this day and age, right, Sorel, where there's so much motion, there's so much chaos. My God, we're not ever disconnected from the computer because we carry it with us, right? Our phones are mini computers where the office can reach you, demand a quick review of something. You can send a fax, you can send a scan. And so it has to be intentional. You have to make time for it. And for me, as you begin, just like anything else, we all have that inner voice, Sorel. We all have that very soft spoken, subtle inner voice of our inner spirit, our higher conscience, that is guiding us. And the more you make time for it, because praying is talking to God for most of us, right? But when do
Mm.
we stop to listen? When do we stop to ask the question or let the question that will arise and then listen? And that's what those moments are. It could be in your office bathroom for those 3, 4 minutes inside the stall. It could be in your home's kitchen or bathroom for a mother as well, because that's where they get away from the little toddlers and can hide. But it takes intentionality, it takes practice. And the more I did it, Sorel, the louder that inner voice became. And I started to take actions. I knew it was the right voice. I know it was my higher conscience, my soul speaking, because the outcome proved that much. It helped me to avoid certain situations that I will learn about after the fact. And then I thought,
Yeah,
I want more of that. I want more of that guidance.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
so
if I'm hearing you correctly, the practice could look like this. At
Mhm.
first, I'm agnostic, or I simply don't believe it will work, right? To
Mhm.
pause because I'm so addicted to the action. And yet you're saying make it deliberate, pause anyway, create an occasion to pause daily and to listen. And at first, maybe what I hear is what is in my head that's always been there, speaking the
Mhm.
gibberish that it does,
Mhm.
bad mouthing me the way it does, you know?
Mhm.
And then at
All
some point in time, as I keep practicing, there's something else I hear that's not that. And I'm thinking, Marjorie, they have there's a quality and caliber to the voice that speaks to me all the time and the voice of the soul, I'm thinking. And you're saying stay in the practice long enough
absolutely.
to hear that different voice.
Absolutely.
And when you hear it,
Yes, absolutely. The
follow
subtle
it.
voice. Yes.
And when you follow it, the results you get in your life will validate what it is. And you end up wanting more, and then you keep doing it. Ah,
Absolutely. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, only truth to gain. So to your point, even if all you've done is clear the mind clutter, right?
yeah,
It was still clarity needed for that moment. And it needs to start there. Start with the mind, all of the
yeah,
thoughts, all of the suggestions, all of the deadlines. They're going to come rolling in first. And for some of us, it's the negative thinking that comes rolling in first and say, no, I'm not that. No, that's not me. No,
yeah,
I'm better than that. And respond to it. Let it come out, let it find another route and stay still. Stay in that moment still. And then
yeah,
it starts to come. And so it's the best way to, whether you are a believer or not, it's you. It's you have that within yourself. You have that within your nature. So you might as well use that ability for you to be able to transcend
Yeah.
the circumstances that you're in. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I invite people to go to your website. Is it Marjorie Sheba Live or Marjorie Sheba Live?
It is live.
It is
When
live,
we
right?
first launched it, yeah. When we
You know,
first launched it,
I had to
we had
make
live
that
events.
distinction. I had to
Okay.
make that
Oh,
distinction
absolutely.
because the book itself pulls people and it pulled me to live
Mhm.
in the
Wow.
moment. And then I looked at the web, the URL, and I said, yeah, it's got to be Marjorie Sheba Live, but I want to
Right.
say live. So
Right.
go to marjorieshebalive.com and click on
Can
books.
you type it, Sorrel, on the chat?
Yes, I will. And so, Marjorie, as we're doing that, I'd love for you to create this with us. There's a line in the book where you
Right.
say, we linger on what wounds us
Mhm.
while overlooking what sustains us. And then there's a point
Mhm.
of looking that leads us to just be with the miracle of just being. So,
Yes.
in your own life, what are you learning to see finally? Like you're finally learning to see that,
I love
and
that
uh,
question.
and 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 it's been sustaining you in a way that you couldn't have imagined.
You know, yeah, it's absolutely, we've all heard it. It's the G word, and it's gratitude. Gratitude is what transforms what you're seeing or what you're hearing as only being the negative things, right? The pessimistic things. And so I know in the book, in that paragraph, I referenced the story. Imagine going to a party that was thrown for you, right? That you didn't spend a penny in, and everything is perfect. The food, the guests, they've got all your friends there, the decorations, the music is your favorite DJ, everything. And imagine you're fixated on that one balloon on the wall that's, that's bending, leaning to the right when it should be leaning left with the rest. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine throughout the whole night you just keep looking at it and it gets to you and you can't enjoy your party? You can't have that piece of cake and love it. You can't listen to your favorite songs being played by your favorite DJ. I think that's what we do a lot of times. That life was given to us. It's a gift. We woke up, without the ability for waking ourselves up, right? We know many people don't wake up each day. We have a place to live. We have clothes on our back. We have a job. And while we may find it painful or the challenges that we're facing in it, but there was a time where we begged, we prayed for that job. We did what we had to do to have it. And so, to your point, it's those moments of gratitude. It's being able to be grateful for what you have that in itself has a certain peace in it. That helps with the clarity, that helps with the pausing to pivot, that helps in seeing what's next for me. If I have outstayed my time in this space that I'm in, if I've outgrown this company, this organization, this team, this board that I'm on, what is next for me? Where am I now to go into? What am I now to do? And these are all the things that we should be reflecting on, that we don't take enough time to pause and reflect. It's the
Yeah,
missing it factor from those who are great and those who are the greatest among us.
yeah. Now I
I just have a
know,
little exit.
every, I know the way you are, and I know you've got an easy to access, easy to create practice that will leave people not only connected to themselves, but connected to the fruits and the spoils of the practice. So, what's one practice you'd like to share with us today?
Okay, I would love for you to join me. I'd love to do it now. We'll take under a minute to do it, okay? So if you would lean in and kind of sit straight on your chair wherever you are, I want you to pause with me now. We're going to put both of your feet on the ground. So make sure they're fully touching the ground. Relax your shoulders. Let your jaw soften. Make sure it's not clenching, which is a normal habit that we have there. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Hold it for 3 seconds. Now release it out your mouth. Let's do that again. Take a slow breath through your nose. Hold it. Now release it out your mouth. Now I want you to silently ask yourself this. What have I been pushing through that deserves my attention? What have I been putting aside that deserves my attention? Don't rush for an answer. Don't analyze it. Just notice what arises. A word, a feeling, a memory, maybe a heaviness, a truth. Make note of that and let it be enough. Take one more breath. Hold it and release.
And so the day begins.
And so the day begins.
Sometimes you have to close your eyes to see. You know, it's not a book you read once. To me, Marjorie, it feels like a book you return to all the time. The kind of book that knows, in a way, that you can return to it without aim. Simply open any page, read a sonnet, look at the illustration, and let yourself be inspired by the self you find when you pause. And what you find there will always be you, just the way you are. So thank you for the gift that your book and your life is to the world. And if there was one phrase or one sentence you want to say as we close this episode, what would you say?
You are enough. You are who you are, gifted, sound. You are already connected to the thread of that which and whom has created you. Tap into that and live your fullest life.
And run the biggest,
And
most
run.
efficient business you
Bye.
can, because who runs that business is you. And these practices are part of the unique leadership perspectives that the Leadership Huddle brings to people. Marjorie and I thank you so much for being the contribution that you are.
It was
And
a pleasure. Thank you.
there's one thing we never fail to say and never fail to do is there is a way you can live like a renegade. And to live like a renegade, you have to laugh. Laugh in a way that it makes you ugly. You know, Gio loves to say, stretch your cheeks. It makes you sexy. Eat mostly plant-based. Hug the trees. Eat the trees. My father would say, come on, leave the trees alone, pile on the rice. But don't do that. My father is 93, but you know, who knows? Maybe he's got some wisdom there,
Oh.
right? Sleep well, mostly. Move your body, give. And last but not least, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's noting the pause that your book invites us all to take. Marjorie, it's been a pleasure being with you. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Likewise.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Virtue. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Gio.
Thank you. This is gonna be my second